Good morning, everyone. Sorry, we are a bit late today. Okay, let's start. Warm welcome to our aboard masters, Brother Joe Huang, Hualien Dharma team, and brothers and sisters around the globe to this Saturday Hualien Dharma talk. Okay, today I'm Sister Mabel. I will be doing the opening today. So let's start now. Okay. So I'll be doing a short acceptance speech from Master's title, Light the Lamp from the Heart and Bring Forth Wisdom. So with a pious heart, light up the lamp of the heart every day. When the lamp of the heart is lit, wisdom is manifest in the world. Everything in life becomes clear and distinct. And with the right direction, we can create blessings for humanity. When there is happiness in the world, of course, everyone benefits. When there is peace in the world, there is peace in every household. Okay, so Kan'en for Master's teaching. Okay, so now let us send our sincere prayers into the 10th direction. May the Sahara land be free from disaster and peace be well in the world. Let us sing the prayer song with sincere piety. Let's put our palms together.
In my heart, I feel deep gratefulness. All my heart is filled with sincere prayer. From all corners of the world, let us join our hearts and pray for a world of harmony and peace. In my heart, I feel deep gratefulness. May all the Buddhas hear my prayer. All united with one heart, let us end our hate with love. May there be no suffering hereafter.
So may all minds be purified, may there be peace in the community, and may there be no disaster in this world. Okay, so Let us say the prayers for the universal love and blessing. Okay. So palms together. Together we pray for universal love and blessing. With loving respect, gratitude, and confidence, let us wish every person in our lives a healthy body, an enlightened mind, and total fulfillment in universal love. Now, let us expand this consciousness to include every person in the world, every being in the universe, and let us unify our love, make this wonderful world even better. Let us immerse ourselves in the joyful embrace of universal love. Okay, so next one. So before we hear the wonderful sharing, let us invite our Dharma Master to lead us in paying homage to the Triple Gem. Let us pay our respect for this teaching and explanation to the Buddha and Master Chen Yen by making 3 sincere bow. Okay, so let's please rise together, put our palms together and bow. Okay, so first bow, okay. Second bow, and third bow. And also a bow to our beloved Abode Master who joined us today. Okay, so this is our agenda today. So today we have Sister Hwee, Brother Matthew, Brother James Lim to share with us their stories in city. Okay, so next one, pass on to Sister Hwee. You can share a slide here.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Share.
Yes, we can hear, sister.
Oh, thank you. Okay, let's see. Title screen. Yes. Oops. Give me a minute because I'm not very familiar. Okay. Can you see my slide?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. In full screen, is it? Because I can't see it very clearly myself. Okay. So I shall start with thank you for having me. Just confirm you can see my screen, full screen.
We can see your screen, except that you're on the presenter's mode.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out. How do I get into? Okay. I think I found it.
You are back on the presenter's mode. Maybe you
Yes,
want to
so
go back.
can anyone share help with this one because I'm not.
You go to present
Yeah.
and you go to present full screen.
Okay. I think I probably got the thing.
Yes, that's
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Hwee. I was a dietitian, clinical dietitian in hospital until maybe for about 20 years before I started doing food fermentation. And currently I am providing fermented food, also hopefully promote whole food plant-based diet to more in the community. Yeah. Okay, so when we talk about fermented food, I would like to share with you this quote that I really like. The food you choose makes a difference. I think all of us are aware of this. That's why we are trying to promote a whole food plant-based diet. And the thing is, you are actually what your bacteria eats. Yeah, why I'm saying so is because our body, we have more bacteria or microorganism DNA as compared to our own body DNA. So your health actually very much matters compared to your bacteria's health. So if you want to have a healthy life, it is important that you also take care of your bacteria, your microbiome in your body's health. Okay, so a quick synopsis of what we are going to go through today. So I'm going to share to understand what and why the ancient practice of fermenting food are, the benefits of fermented food to mental and physical health, and we try to explore commonly consumed fermented food. Of course, after we know the benefit of having fermented food, okay, we try to see how we can incorporate fermented food as part of a healthy diet. So what actually are fermented food? Fermented food, according to Heart Foundation of New Zealand, it is defined as food and beverages that has undergone controlled microbial growth. So controlled microbial growth is one important factor that determines the fermented food. And also the process of fermentation should convert the food component through enzymatic action, basically the bacterial activity. So at the most basic level, so fermentation happens when the microbiome such as yeast, bacteria or mold, they break down the food and it converts the original form to something else, usually something that is easier for us to digest. Okay. Now, fermentation is also different from pickling. I think some of us may, especially the public, they may think that, oh, okay, those suan cai, giam cai, they are also considered fermented food, but actually they are not. So the biggest difference between fermentation and pickling is that pickling doesn't undergo bacteria fermentation. So what pickling does is by adding high amount of either vinegar to basically create a very acidic environment to prevent the food from getting bad. That's about it. But whereas in fermentation, the food becomes sour naturally because of lactic acid that are being produced by the bacteria. And this high level of acidity preserves the food. And in pickling, canning, it is very important to take care of hygiene. So we kind of work in a sterile environment. Whereas in fermentation, you just make sure you have a clean environment, you encourages the good bacteria to grow, and you are good to go. So, and the flavor of fermentation, the food definitely is very different from canned or pickling food. So for example, you can try to imagine the flavor of suan cai or giam cai or ajia. It either salty and sour, and the flavor of the vegetable itself. Whereas if you imagine the flavor of a kimchi, it is a totally different one. You have so many flavors in the cabbage itself as compared to just the plain maybe pickled mustard. So that makes the difference between fermentation and pickling. So in fermentation, there are two types. We have wild fermentation. So this wild fermentation, you can do it at home. You don't need a starter. These include foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, dosa, sourdough bread, rejuvenate. I think some of us may have definitely tried these foods before, and you can in fact even do it at home. There are some other fermentation that are culture dependent. For example, tempeh, natto, miso, vinegar, soy sauce, which require some form of starter. So you will require a starter to get the fermentation started. to introduce this microorganism into your food. Okay, so why we ferment food in the first place? Okay, so in the olden time, I think fermentation are mostly for the purpose of preservation of excess agricultural yield, and eventually it transformed into the process, the purpose to transform and enhance the taste and the texture of food. For example, a simple soybean into soy sauce, miso, natto. There are so many differences to it. And of course, eventually, I think our ancestors understood and found that fermentation improved the nourishment and nutrient bioavailability and life forces of a fruit, because you are turning something like, for example, a vegetable, a cabbage that has already been harvested, the life force may be going down, but once you ferment it, it is full of energy and life force that comes from the bacteria that works in itself. And of course, it is also important process to eliminate food toxin and to transform anti-nutrients, and definitely easier to digest after all this process has been done. It definitely has health and healing properties, but I think health and healing properties are something that are more emphasized in the recent years. So we can have a look a bit more deeply into each point. So the preservation of excess agricultural yield is quite simple. To preserve a food, we need to keep the food at a pH of either less than 4 or more than 9. So how to achieve that besides adding just vinegar to it? Our ancestors learned to work with it by introducing bacteria that produces higher acidity, like lactic acid bacteria, or acetic acid bacteria that ferments vinegar. Lactic acid bacteria are like those lactobacillus group. Mostly they work with yogurt, they work with kimchi, yeah, and more than 9 the alkaline bacteria, which are what makes natto. So when the food are kept at this pH and an aerobic environment, so some bacteria thrives under an aerobic environment, so and some pathogenic bacteria doesn't. So when you have no oxygen plus a higher or lower pH than 4 or 9, you inhibit most of the pathogenous bacteria, and that prevents spoilage. Okay, so that basically the purpose is to preserve the food. And of course, eventually they found that fermentation changes the flavor, aroma, and texture of the food. I think many of you will agree with me. A simple soybean tastes just like soybean, very beany, and definitely it has its fragrance. But when you transform it into miso, you transform it into tempeh, you transform it into soy sauce, it is a totally different flavor. So I think I would also want to emphasize and delve a bit more on the nourishment, nutritional part of the food, because as a dietitian, we are also very concerned about how we can enhance the nutrition of the food, especially when we are in the whole food plant-based diet. So fermentation happens to improve the nutritional value of grains, legumes, vegetables, and it increases the availability of essential amino acids, fatty acid, and vitamins. Why and how? So imagine, as I mentioned, probably I will take soybean as an example again, because soybean is a high protein food and it has a complete protein. But remember, our little soybean is actually still what it is actually. It is actually a seed. So a seed is engineered by the nature to fulfill one purpose, that is to grow into a tree. So to grow into a tree, the nature has to protect it from being destroyed. So the nature gave most of the seeds or seeds potentials like grains, legumes, and nuts, beans. One important thing that is called trypsin inhibitors. It is especially high in soybean. So what trypsin inhibitor does is it inhibits the trypsin enzyme, so it prevents it from breaking down the seed and ensures that it goes through the gut and comes out and have the chance to sprout into a plant again. So beside, of course, definitely trypsin inhibitor is not the only one. There are other things like phytates that I will discuss a bit more later. So when fermentation, soaking, or sprouting, what they do is it deactivates this trypsin inhibitor. Trypsin inhibitor, that is something that it inhibits the enzyme. So when we eat soybean, with this trypsin inhibitor, we are unable to break down the amino acid. Trypsin is a type of amino acid, and into something that is easier for us to digest or absorb. So when this is deactivated, our body enzyme is able to break it down. That's why we can be able to absorb the protein, the amino acid in the soybean much better when the soybean is being soaked at least and fermented. That's is also very important if you are on plant-based diet, because you want to maximize the protein content in your food that give you the most from the food that you eat. And of course, soybean also has a lot of isoflavones. In normal natural form, it is not as easily absorbed by our body. And when the food is being fermented, it breaks down these isoflavones into something that is more easily absorbed by our body. So normal, probably unfermented, just simply cooked soybean, probably will become at least about 60 to 70 more easily absorbed and available for our body when it is fermented. Okay. So hope you are following me. Okay, the next very important thing is when we eat the food, we want to maximize what we absorb from it. Makes sense to everyone. And we also want to make sure that whatever that is stopping it from giving us its full nutrition is being eliminated. And definitely, actually, there are food that will become toxin. There are food that have anti-nutrients that not only stops the foods being absorbed or being break down by our body, it also can sometimes cause not really poison, but at least sometimes it will bring some issues to our body, especially like oxalates. Yeah, may form stones. Okay, so these are cereals, and it just happened that cereals, legumes, or even tubers like tapioca, if it's not being processed properly, cooked properly, it actually contains significant amount of toxic components and anti-nutritional components. So some example are like phytates. I think for a plant-based diet, we are also very concerned about phytates because we rely most of our iron mineral intake like iron, calcium, magnesium from the beans, legumes that we eat. So with the presence of phytates in whole grains, they reduces our absorption of calcium, iron, phosphorus. These are important, and magnesium. These important minerals in our body. So fermentation fermentation reduces these toxic components or anti-nutrients by a high percentage. So for example, in a whole wheat bread, if you let it undergo a longer fermentation by using sourdough starter, it breaks down the phytate content by 50%. So what actually is phytate? So in nature, in the seeds or grains, phosphorus, the important minerals in our body, is being stored in form of phytic acids. So the thing with phytic acid is it is a chelator, meaning it likes to bind to other type of minerals. So for example, it will bind to, if it's found itself beside calcium, iron, magnesium, it will bind together with it, forming phytate. So our body doesn't have much phytate enzymes to break down phytate, which the enzyme is called phytase. So we need outside force to help us to break down phytate, which means you will need to soak the food. So for example, for beans or grains, you always try to soak it for at least, if possible, 8 hours. Throw away the water, and then if you can, you try to ferment it, because fermentation works with bacteria. The lactic acid bacteria provides an acidic environment, and at the same time, it has phytase to break down phytates. When these phytates are broken down, it frees up the phosphorus from other minerals. So when it enters your body, it makes your body able to absorb these minerals much, much better. So makes sense? It's important to break down these anti-nutrients so that your body gets the maximum of what you are eating. Of course, in food made from beans, some toxic component like lectins, it can be easily broken down, like when you turn a soybean into tempeh. So tempeh is a very special food because it not only it has a 2-layer of fermentation traditionally. I can't say for most of the commercially processed tempeh now, but traditionally tempeh undergoes fermentation. Yeah, apologies for the noise. So tempeh, the beans goes acidic and fermentation, which acidize the bean before being colonized by tempeh starters. So later we'll go a bit more. Okay, and of course, I think this is quite easy to see that when we ferment a food, basically the bacteria helps break down the food. It makes it easier. They already done. So it makes it definitely easier for us to absorb the food. Struggling with my true. Okay, just give me okay. So the most simple thing is it reduces flatulence related to bean intake. So how it does, because in tempeh we work with rhizopus polyphosporus, a type of mold. So this mold work to break down indigestible polysaccharides into something that's more easily absorbed, like monosaccharides and disaccharides. So it reduces gas and flatulence related to bean intake. So as we know, a lot of people, they are unable to tolerate beans or grains because they say after they eat, they become gluten. So one very simple thing, tip that I can share is always at least soak your beans or grains for about 8 hours and choose fermented foods, fermented grains and beans if you can, if you are facing this issue with gas, because all these microorganisms that we are working on, they help to break down these indigestible polysaccharides that our body cannot work on. So it will definitely reduce your symptoms. And lactic acid bacteria, it reduces the lactose level. So for people who are unable to tolerate dairy product, they seem to be able to tolerate cheese better. But of course, personally, I would choose or suggest plant-based milk if possible. And koji is a special starter. It breaks down starch, protein, and fat. So, in Japan, there's this drink called amasake. It's made from koji. Koji is the same starter that are being used to make soy sauce and miso. So it breaks it into simple sugars and make it something that is very easy to digest. Okay. And health, definitely, when we want to think for good health, I would say, if possible, include some fermented food into the diet. Why I say so? Because this fermented food has live cultures. They have microorganisms, and these are helpful organisms. So they basically what they do is when we eat this fermented food, not only that it helps it to give us better nutrition by making it easier for us to digest with better, easier, more nutritionally available nutrients. It competes with pathogenic bacteria, and it produces immune regulatory byproducts that are highly helpful to our body, which I will share in a while. Okay, fermentation derived food. Example very much research is this lactic acid bacteria. It generates bioactive peptides and polyamide. So it is potentially helpful to heart and immune health. Of course, I would say this fermented food, some fermented food contains probiotics, but not all fermented food contains probiotics, and we don't eat fermented food just for probiotics alone. Just in case someone asks me, oh, I have to cook my tempeh, so after it's cooked, there's no more microorganism left. Yes, it is true, because we don't eat the tempeh for the sake of getting probiotic or live bacteria from it, but it's more for the process that it has been already taken place before you eat the tempeh. Okay, so competition with pathogenic bacteria, production of immune regulatory byproduct microorganisms are not present in all fermented food. That's why I will say, if possible, you try to have a variety of fermented food in your diet. Example, like tempeh is you eat it for the nutritional value, and like sourdough bread as well. But kimchi, yogurt, sauerkraut is mostly for the probiotic content. Okay, so I would like to share with you this slide. Okay, so it kind of summarizes what are the benefits of fermented food. So fermented food contains bioactive peptides, as we mentioned just now, isopolysaccharides, phenolic compounds, acid bacteria, and probiotic. As I mentioned just now, probiotics only is one of the component that makes fermented food beneficial, and not all fermented food has it. Okay, so what they do is, beside this part, to understand it a bit better, let's have a look at inflammation and oxidative stress. These are the processes that are mostly being studied as the culprit of cancer progression. So initiation and cancer progression involve initiation of the carcinogenesis, the process of forming cancer cells, the progression, and eventually cancer invasion and metastasis. So during the whole process of it, there are of course some process taking place. I won't go into very much into it because I'm the effects they host microbial interaction. So all these process like detoxifying, carcinogen, especially producing what called butyrate. So these are byproduct of fermentation. They help regulate the immune system, and some are found to induce apoptosis, the breakdown of cancer cell, and it suppresses the proliferation. So meaning it suppresses the progression of cancer cells. So this is how fermented food helps to inhibit the progression or even the forming of cancer disease and some other inflammatory diseases as well. Okay. So that being said, I'm not saying that you eat fermented food and then you get treated immediately, but it has to be within together with a good lifestyle and a healthy balanced diet. Okay, I would like to also introduce to you this thing called gut-brain axis. So in simple form, our gut is actually now named as our second brain. Why is that so? Because our gut health influences our brain by not only working on digestion, bowel movement, it also has the influence of gut microbiota, meaning our microorganism that lives in our gut. So it influences the stress response, the mood behavior, cognitive functions of our brain. And of course, our brain works to influence the digestion of our gut as well. So it actually works together. So it's important to make sure we have a good gut health in order to make sure you have a good brain. Okay, so this one I will quickly go through. There are definitely signs of gut flora imbalance that one can see. Sometimes it can be a simple thing like allergic reactions. Okay, so because when we don't have a good gut health, it doesn't help to break down many toxins that comes into our body. Okay, these are some of the causes of imbalances of gut flora. Okay, so I go quite fast because this part, I think the causes of imbalances of gut flora are easily available if you find the information online. Okay, but what I want to focus is to how to encourage a healthy gut flora. Is eating fermented food the key? I said I think I shared before, it is not the key, the only key, but it is part of a puzzle that helps. So I want to introduce you to this bacteria organism. So in our whole body, our environment, there are different bacteria present. 90% of them are neutral. And among these bacteria, there are these lactobacteria that work to make food sour. They can be good, they can be no good, they can cause food spoilage. And among them, they are friendly bacteria. So they are friendly lactobacteria that helps you to break down food and give you health benefit, and they are probiotics. Okay, so only a few probiotics are among lactic acid bacteria. So they are clinically proven to be useful for our body. Okay, so just that you understand. Okay. Of course, when we go a bit deeper into probiotics, there are definitely studies on probiotics, improve digestion, boost immune system, because we know how they function now. But the thing is, after you know the benefit of probiotics, does it help if you just go and take probiotic supplements? I think I have got this question many times before. I would say if you take probiotic supplementation, it has to go through your gut and go and stay in your gut. So for example, it's like you want to import some talent into a country. You want the talent to stay in your country to benefit your country. For it to happen, you have to make sure the talents are happy. You provide them with a good environment. You provide them with a good salary, probably a good good pay, good food. Then they will stay. Otherwise, they will just become a tourist. They come for maybe a few months, then they go. So what I want to say is the more important thing may not be introducing probiotic into your gut, although that is only that's one factor that you can do. So the second thing that I want to important emphasize on is the concept of having enough prebiotics or healthy environment to support your gut health. Okay, so to make my point, I will share with you this slide. Okay, there's a study to compare plant-based diet, a Mediterranean diet, and Western diet. So in the gist of it, they found that vegetarian, vegan has lower Firmicutes to bacteroides ratio, meaning they have lower harmful to not so harmful bacterial ratio. So they have higher short-chain fatty acid levels. So all this means that their guts are thriving, because if you have good bacteria, only then you can have higher SCFA, short-chain fatty acid levels. They are produced by probiotics. If you don't, you will not see a higher SCFA level. So they found, so it shows that with a plant-based diet, the bacteria are thriving, the good bacteria are thriving. So what compares this to this Mediterranean diet? Mediterranean diet are mostly plant-based as well. They have some meats, but it is not as high as a plant-based diet. The key lie in the good bacteria are nourished by fruits and vegetables, grains and beans, and those bad bacteria are fed by meat, junk food, fast food. So the key to what I'm going to share today, because my time is almost up. If you cannot remember everything that I've said, remember that you need to keep a good gut health for a healthy body. To keep a good gut health, you have to introduce good bacteria, and at the same time, nourish them with good environment, good food, so that they decide to stay in your gut for good. And there are studies to show that a vegetarian or a vegan, a plant-based, whole food plant-based diet is the diet that nourishes these bacteria and make them happy. Okay, so that's I bring back to my point. Prebiotics. Prebiotics are essential to gut flora because they are nourishing the bacteria or the microbiome in our gut. Okay, and they provide food for the bacteria to produce, to ferment, to produce these short-chain fatty acids. They are found to be very beneficial in cancer prevention and very beneficial in reducing inflammation process. Okay. So this one are quite, I think this one you should be able to find this info online. But what I want to bring your attention to is to piece them all together. Okay, and almost last of my slides, prebiotics and fiber are not the same. So you are not trying to, I'm not trying to also point you to just eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, because that gives you fiber, but not all the time prebiotics or fibers that are suitable for our microbes. So for it to be a prebiotic, it must be resistant. It must not be so-called broken down by our body, because you have to stay almost good and intact and go into the gut. So these are some of the things why the bacteria likes foods that are hard, that causes flatulence, because they need it to ferment and grow. They want to consume it and not use. Okay, so some common types of prebiotic that we can see, like oligosaccharide, resistant starches, those that cause your flatulence, they are actually good for the gut. So they come from whole grains, whole beans, legumes. So besides consuming a lot of fruits and vegetables, you need to consume grains, legumes, beans, and that is why most plant-based diet people community has this benefit because these are our protein source. We don't eat as much meat. We don't eat meat, but these are the beans and grains that we use as protein source actually are the most thing that feeds our gut microbiome. Okay, so I hope that strengthens your resolve or your confidence in a whole food plant-based diet because it's being researched. Okay, can be available online as well. This is what we have been trying. Whole food plant-based diet is something that we have been trying to advocate. And I think I have run out of time to on this part, but I probably can share with you how to incorporate this food into the daily diet in more detail in the future. So, but all in all, simply just choose to have fermented food in your diet. So for example, if you are eating, try to include some sauerkraut, some kimchi into your diet. You can have some plant-based yogurt. You can choose to have tempeh or have some sort to your meals or miso into your soup. You can make a dosai for your breakfast. So all these are, and also have sourdough breads. So all these are actually things that you can easily incorporate in as part of your diet, and it's not as difficult to find. It's quite easily available in, I think, Asia. Yeah, because these are all Asian foods. Okay, so I'm so sorry. I think I cannot go into more detail for each fermented food, but I am sure you are not missing out much because I have already made try to bring out the important point of what I want to present in the previous slides. So with that, I thank you.
Silence, Sister Hwee Mei, so much for the insightful sharing. I know that you have a lot more to present, and we should have you back again at some point. Right. Although I have a couple of questions I would like to ask, but we don't have the time now, but hopefully we'll have you back again at some point. Right. So may I now call upon Sister Su Ching, who's going to actually do the summary. Sorry, Sister Su Ching, for skipping you earlier.
No problem. Wait, hold
There you
on.
go.
Let me share. Okay, so this was last week. Oh, where are you? All right. All right. Brother Jo Huang spoke about Master guides us with wisdom to make the most of each day. She fills each moment with meaning, showing us the way. While the team seeks rest, Master urges, let's move ahead. Brother Joe is grateful for the push that keeps us led. The Sutra of Infinite Meanings begins with this call: time, location, action, and people's impact us all. Authenticity is key to knowing truth's source. We must continue the teachings, staying on course. When faced with doubt, adaptability is key, and teachings must survive across time, you see. 80,000 bodhisattvas carry the torch with care. Patience, wisdom, and strength they willingly share. The 12 links guide us through life stages and strife. A teacher's role is to provide support in life. To practice, learn, and share with others we go. Like doctors, athletes, and teachers, we grow. A good teacher must diagnose and heal the soul, ensuring all symptoms disappear, making us whole. Okay, Brother David Liu had 4 questions. The first question was, the task has grown and changes now appear. Guidance from seniors was hoped for but unclear. How can we align to ensure the path is right? What steps will help us navigate this with insight? Brother David Liu said, new volunteers face this challenge in their stride. The method may vary if the core aligns inside. For admin, follow leaders. For Dharma, ask around. Seek wisely for support, so no new issues are found. For question 2, in a project, each person brings skills and their view. Balancing likes and dislikes is what we must do. How can we unite such diverse hearts and hands by fostering respect and meeting shared demands? Our Brother David Liu said, In volunteerism, work is unpaid, so no titles truly hold sway. Decisions are made with care in a mindful way. Let go of I to grow and learn. Through shared understanding, harmony is what we earn. For question 3, some elders long to join, but their children say no. Though Tzu Chi's goodness is something they surely know. How can we ease concern and bridge this divide to bring peace of mind while keeping love as our guide? Brother David Liu said, this challenge arises not just with parents, but all. In Tzu Chi, we must live by Dharma's call. To show by example, let our actions speak clear. Self-diagnose, repent, and remove all fear. Families should rejoice in charity's loving way, but balance is key to make sure they don't stray. Care for our loved ones before we go far. Their well-being comes first, no matter where we are. For question 4, the Buddha's lifespan extends beyond what we see. He did not truly pass, but lives actively. Is he still teaching the Dharma even today? Can his wisdom guide us in every way? Brother David said, Buddha is a being who has found the light. Anyone can be a Buddha with wisdom inside. It's not about studying, but practicing the way to live as Bodhisattva each and every day. Okay, then we have Sister Sahun, who spoke about raising funds for the Klang Jingsi Hall. In October, Sister Sahun traveled to the Mua town to learn from the efforts how funds were raised for the Jingsi Hall grounds. With perseverance and hearts unafraid of strife, they showed that giving brings a meaningful life. In small donations, Mua raised what they could, each donor's love forming a foundation of good. For Klang Jingsi Hall, she sought the same, to unite all hearts in this noble aim. Lotus Heart donors pledged with love sincere, 1,000 ringgit given over months to endear. A care recipient joined with a modest start, finishing early driven by a generous heart. Unconditional giving is for all who feel a love that transcends wealth, pure and real. With her vow of 35, now unkept, unbound, Sister Sahun gathers hearts where unity is found. And with Sister Hong Li, in June last year, Sister Hong Li made her vow to serve with heart and strength, starting here and now. Inspired by Master, she cleared her mind of doubt. For Buddha's teachings and sentient beings, she set out. What once seemed impossible, now she could achieve. With faith and action, her goals would weave. In Satya Alam, the English group began to grow. From Sutra studies, seeds of understanding did so. 15 joined the classes, 11 became volunteers. Jianxi and others stepped forward without fears. With simple words and lessons, she eased their way, making teachings practical for all who came to stay. PowerPoints and visuals brought clarity and delight. Volunteers shared her work, spreading Tzu Chi's light. Filipinos recalled Tzu Chi's aid from distant lands, a vow fulfilled with love and guiding hands. And lastly, Sister Annie was talking about giving love to Anbei Sivam Home. Established in 2005, a home for hearts in need. Residents of all kinds find care and loving deeds. Songs of joy fill the air, bright smiles all around. Bamboo bags introduced and hope is found. On 11 May, Buddha Day shone alongside Tzu Chi Day, a time to honor mothers and the path they pave. A crystal Buddha stood elegant on its altar, flowers, candles, and water placed without falter. Volunteers gave their time with focus and delight, creating a scene of warmth and spirits bright. This day was more than joy, it brought new hope to remind all hearts of their strength to cope. With kindness, love, and unwavering care, they built a future beyond despair. Anbei Sivan Home stands a beacon through the strife, giving opportunity and reigniting life. Okay, Kanan, for listening. Very, very long, I know, so many speakers. Okay, I hand over to you now, Brother Jin, to introduce the
Kanan,
next.
Sister Su Ching, for the great summary. All right, so the next sharer, I will call upon Brother James Lim. Brother Matthew is unavailable at the moment. So Brother James is going to share with us the joy from the relief mission and lessons learned. So, Brother James, platform is all yours.
Hi, good morning, Brother Chin and brother and sisters. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, it's very good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
This is my first time sharing in the English group. I hope anything I say not clear or not right, please forgive me. Yeah. So I try my best to share what my experience in international relief missions, and there's a lot of story that pop up and along the life and how I pick it up and treasure and value and give me hope. Right. In my early experience before Chichi disaster relief mission, that was in 2004, the Aceh tsunami. That was my first encounter in the field of the relief mission. At that time, I was ignorant about Chichi, in Aceh, I took part together with the French Red Cross to build 490 houses. During the construction, I managed to have a lot of dialogues with the relief personnel, and I asked them how much money actually went into the hand of the victims. Surprisingly, to date, I was told the financial aids that went to the victims is less than 20%. That means every dollar that donors given is only about 20 cents reach their hand. That is due to admin costs, logistic, pilferage, custom tax, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So, and then on my trip back from Aceh, I saw a project. This is the 490 houses that we shared in the construction. On the way back, I saw this project, and I was told that it is built by one of the NGO, Buddhist NGO. Yeah, and I was told they are very efficient. I don't know who is this NGO, and I feel so small, as compared to this project. They built 5,000 houses the same time that they complete. Whether it is doing good things or helping others or pursuing an ideal life, everything begins with a single decision. That is the seed. Yeah, this seed needs to be nurtured with the intention and watered with action to blossom and bear fruits. So I'm keep saying to myself, who is this NGO? And finally, still for some good leads, I joined Chichi. My first relief mission that I joined is a Myanmar Nagis disaster in 2008. Yeah. Okay. I start with this photo. Your guess whether is this a sunrise or sunset? Yeah. Okay, there's two pictures for you to have a look. Okay, if you want to make a guess, one or two, or two or one, the left one is sunset or sunrise. You can guess so. Yeah. But then you need to do a bit of thinking, on these two pictures. But for me, the sunrise symbolized the journey of Chichi, as it was my maiden trip. However, the sunset, this photo on the left-hand side actually, that I took during the trips, it reminds me that the master said that the 5 poisons in the human mind. So I hope that these 5 poisons, the desire, the anger, delusions, arrogance, and jealousy, will be demised from my mind, as taught by the Chichi Dharma. So this is from the sun, also can give me some ideas about what Chichi is thinking is. Okay, the path to the kindness is not easy in the relief mission. During that trip, usually after the disaster, the flood or typhoon, it is always very hot and humid. Yeah, the journey is full of challenges. As you can see, we are often have to travel through a small, tiny road, from a proper tar road to muddy path. At times, we have to stop down to push the cart or the tuk-tuk. Sometimes we have to travel by the boat trip, and it was a very exciting moment. We have to hurry up before the water tide subside. So we had to change boat from big one to the dinghies, so that to suit the depth of the river. Otherwise, it will be a no return trip. And just to let you have a look, how the trip is. Yeah, let's hear the sound of my typical journey. It reminds me how fortunate I am. No need to travel in this route to work or to do my things. It was a good shake, and everybody have a good massage. Okay, all right. In the norms, my first Dharma lesson, that was way back in 2008. During the distribution, we are told to bring out our bamboo bank, and go and seek donation. At that time, maybe I'm a bit junior. I didn't really understand what bamboo bank is. And I said, how come Su Ching is so greedy? When you give things to people, you want to take back. I said, oh, this is something I don't want. But then I was reluctant to do my act. But however, after seeing the brother and sisters put forward the piggy bank, to my surprise, all these Myanmar people really they took off their sarong and threw out all the money at the sarong belt, And I was so shamed by their action. I said, wow, we live in the affluent society which is full of the richness of material means, but then they are teaching us the wealth and the beautiful of kindness. Well, that was my first lesson. Okay, doing good is not a privilege of the wealthy. Contrarily to this, is the dedication of those who have compassionate heart. So this Mi Puman, the rice piggy bank, is a good illustration of the real kindness. These people, they don't have the money, but then they have rice. They are the farmer. So for every meal, instead of they use a handful of the rice and they store it in their rice piggy bank. And then now instead of there's a logo for Air Asia, now everyone can find. For them, they say that now everyone can do good deeds. It is the thought that matter. And I was so touched, with the people come out with so much rice. Imagine the heap of rice is a handful of the donors. So yeah, it's just from all the villagers, and this is how it's a collective action that gathers the kindness together. Okay, this is a second story. After 10 years, I also have a chance to revisit Myanmar. This time is on the flood, the Great Flood in 2018. On seeing the site, we saw a beautiful paddy field, well grown with grains. So then we question, why do we need to help the farmers, with the rice, full of grains, and it looks so good, and maybe someone misreported their needs. But then, remember, master always tell us that we have to be mindful and diligent. We actually then jump down to the paddy field and do a serious investigation, and then this asked for us, the city folks, without farming experience, we saw this picture, we really surprised. But then we keep on asking questions, and later we found out that we are told by the farmer the grain is actually broken. And then we keep asking, say, what do you mean by that? Why is it broken? And what we are good at is always asking questions. So we asked until they told us that because the paddy field has been soaked with water, and many of the grains actually damaged and or decay. So the harvest is a bad harvest, cannot be used. So that is our finding, and they show us the evidence. In fact, the verdict is the massive grain is actually hollow, decay, damaged by the flood. So this is the good harvest picture is actually is wrong, is a fake one. This part is I did some research after this. It was fortunate that we asked well. Otherwise, we as a recce we would have been not doing the distribution to help them. Then, if we were to return home without any distribution of the seeds, today it will cause a massive grave to the suffering of mankind. You know why? The distribution of the area in Kayang and Bago approximately is bigger than the entire Malaysian rice production. So the national rice production after the distribution, as we found out, is only 1.5%, caused by the Great Flood in 2019. Myanmar was the 7th largest producer, accounting for more than 13,000 metric tons, which can feed about 200,000 people for a year. Not to mention other crops yield in parallel or neighboring countries' production, which was affected by the flood too. Gratitude to Master Cheng wisdom. She allowed us to do this massive distribution. These charts later researched and found that if Su Ching didn't help the farmers, the crop yields would have been dropped drastically, and that will result in the ripple of the global food supply chain, and that will cause shortages and food insecurity. So this arrow show that if, let's say, we don't do the distribution, it will shoot up earlier after the flood. Let's see why the suffering would be even more. Later on, the ripple can be even worse, coupled with the pandemic and the Indian ceased rice export, and then the Sino-US trade war and inflation, and the price and the shortage of the food will shoot over the ceiling. And luckily, that relief is actually carried out. Today, if let's say if we were not doing that relief mission, but be it whether you are rich or poor, all of us will have to line up for the food. Okay, the act of kindness should be done without delay. Just do it. So in 2018, the rice and fertilizer distribution in Myanmar was on time, and able the farmers to continue planting the crops without deferment of the planting season. That means they can continue on. It is a lesson of act of kindness. However, in this 2018 Su Ching distribution, it is so underreported, but it was a good one. In 2018, I was given a chance to visit Cox's Bazar the same year, which was triggered by the King Hussein of Jordan during his meeting with Master. The mission was actually a fact-finding trip to visit the fellow Muslim in suffering in the world's largest refugee camp that housed close to 1 million Rohingya. This place is not too far from the Irrawaddy basin of Myanmar. They too suffer the same fate. We are referred by the local guide to help a madrasah whose teacher and student are lacking of fund to buy basic necessity. After visit the management, they just simply told us that yeah, true they don't have money, so they, without elaboration. Later on, we was told that they actually need rice to feed the people, and maybe they don't think that a Buddhist organization will help them, especially Rohingya. They are facing a crisis, political crisis, before they become a refugee there. So, but then I I I feel that if the one in need, it is like what Master is saying, that to help people, you have to trust them. You have to trust them. So I go and join together with the organizer. We said that, to buy a trailer of the rice to feed the school. Upon our arrival, we was ushered, we are so uh they just usher us and give us a very warm welcome. They line up something like 30 teachers and 300 over students, usher us all the way to the kitchen. And then we are made to know that actually the rice that arrived on that day just in time for them to cook their meal. Yeah. So we bought from this store and sent it to their kitchen. And all these are part of the stock. We bought about close to 10,000 US dollar rice. And imagine that food can keep them for almost 3 months. So the lesson for this is simple. Just put loving kindness in action. Compassionate, joy, and equanimity. You may ask, why I show this photo. I think the feeling of the same thing that I have encountered. Sujata offered a milk porridge to Buddha, and that simple act actually changed the world of our world with the Buddha teaching. And that same thing, a small kindness of the trailer of rice is small, but then I was happy because it was timely and needed. We have to trust others with love. That is the Thai spirit. That's I believe. Okay, my third story is that title this moonshine on Himalaya. It was beautiful night. It's not the sunrise this time. It's a moon, and it was taken during my trip in December 2022 in Kathmandu. After our day works and with the authority, and then we proceed on to the next program of the day to drive up to the cliff of the Himalaya and to give a food distribution to an orphanage. As you know, key volunteers, we always say that try to give the best to the people. So we actually went to spend a lot of time to buy up food and so on, like what sister was mentioning, the nutritional value and so on. So we bought a lot of fruits and with good nutritional value. And then because of that, we spent too much time on that, coupled with the heavy traffic jam. We was delayed and late by almost 1.5 hours. But then we didn't realize that they are waiting for us to have a dinner together. And that was a cold winter night. And these kids are actually shivering and hungry, And upon our arrival, we quickly help out the serving of the food. Even before we can sit down and join them for the dinner, all these kids is using their hand and grab the food and swallow in, and they finish even before I can start my first mouth of dinner. I was so guilty and so touched, and uh, I was so fortunate that my children don't have to face this kind of hunger. Yeah. And it reminds me when I was young, in a poor house childhood, and I told myself that never happened to me again. So it reminds me of the same thing again. This Buddha was, the top left hand. This is 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I took this photo. On the top left hand, I told Buddha that Kangen for the blessing bestowed to me and my loved one, and I don't have to face the suffering of the hunger. I was having a deep talk to Buddha then, whom 2005 years ago, seeking to enlighten in this cave, Bodhiga cave in Bodh Gaya. And you look at Buddha's statues, it was so skinny and tiny. I mean, Sujata didn't really help Buddha on the milk porridge. It's the same thing that maybe, who knows, yeah, one of these kids that we offer, you'll be a great man again. Yeah, so just do it. Okay, my final story is my trip to this super typhoon Haiyan in 2013. It, we are the first group by plane to the Tacloban then, this cyclone was among the largest and the deadliest. Approximately 7,500 people was killed or missing, and it is the most destructive disaster in Philippines to date, which have wind speed recorded up to 235 kilometers per hour. And you can see when the cyclone swept through the town of Tacloban, most of the building was flattened. What we can see, the color of the surrounding is the ruin, and the smell of the corpse, animal, or maybe human being, is like a hell. The power of oil in the disaster relief is actually to uplift the spirit in adversity. So what we did is that we gather all the victims together, and we give them a cash forward, so that instead of they lying down and waiting for the aids to arrive, they just clean up their home. At first, they don't believe, how can somebody pay me the money and to clean my own house or the road in front of myself, my own. And then at first, it's only a couple of hundred people join. And to the last, I spent about 5 days there. On the 5th day, we can see that almost 10,000 people joined the cash forward. But then, in the program, we created a very strong connection among them, and volunteers. We keep telling them more, whether can have more villagers come and help themselves, And I was told that at the end of the program, on the 19th day, there was something like 30,000 people join the cash forward. And that built the resilience for a long-term recovery. And on the way to the airport on my last day, I can see that the market start to have sign of the economic activity. The people are selling eggs, selling food, and so on. So it is very fast. It was very fast. Yeah. Universal love actually transcends religion, race, and border. we had been taught the great love transcends everything, a breakthrough in a spiritual and a sentient world. Evidence of numerous occasions in Shi Chi relief. Yeah, so we had these are some of the pictures that I took and in Zimbabwe and elsewhere. So that is what we are taught, right? Disaster actually do not differentiate whether you're noble or you are less fortunate, yeah, or whether it only can happen in the third world country. In 2014 and early 15, Malaysia great flood in East Coast. We also adopted the same cash forward relief method. It was a doable solution, and it was a successful, especially in the Temerloh relief mission. Yeah, so we went to clean up the school. There's a lot of story about this, that the volunteers reluctant to enter the Islamic school, and vice versa, the school think that we shouldn't go in and help them. But after our negotiation with them and managed to actually enter the religious school and clean up. It was quite a hesitant acceptance and with a happy ending. And it was an eye-opener for seeing that Buddhist NGO actually went in to clean up the religious school. And this news was actually broke in their community media, praising the cleanup effort and the cash forward program. Yeah, and this photo also not too distant away, the Sri Muda flood in 2021, I think. Yeah. And then we went to a massive cleaning, and another great lesson learned. Disaster is borderless. In fact, all of us living under the heaven, in this world, the underprivileged, the sufferings, they are everywhere, and it's more, getting more. Climate change has actually exaggerated the problems. This photo I took in Bodh Gaya, children learn under the tree, and but then they actually have school, but the school wasn't for the student to study. The school, the principal actually used the building to house the furnitures and goods, and the children actually study under the tree, and it is a normal phenomenon. And it was quite sad because they are told that schooling is not important because they won't find any job even they finish school, because they are under the lowest caste people, in India. So this is what Master want us to go and transform their living. And we have a big team in India and Nepal at the moment. Just now, that was a fortunate one. We went to do quite a few recce, and to our surprise, this group of this village, there's no school, no learning at all, no chance to learn at all, and they are guaranteed no job, and they are born to be a beggar, and they accepted the fate. The suffering is just like the tree is fighting to survive the rocks. Yeah, it's same village in Ling. And today, I think Shi Chi, we already have one tuition center setting up over there, and hope that we will transform the life there, soon after building a school. Okay, this is just like the journey of the Tijang Wang Pusa. So, it looks to me like the world is still in darkness, Actually, this video was taken during my relief mission in Zimbabwe on our way back from the relief mission. This journey is still a long and dark road. Okay, put aside the dark journey, my greatest Su Ching lesson for me is, everything that you do, you must be mindful. Whatever you do, you have to accept the consequences. Blessing comes with the joy of doing, and wisdom arises from understanding and compassion. So this is my greatest learning, and nothing comes easy. And as long as putting effort, we always, as a bread and butter provider to the family, and we always think that we are the head of the whole family. In fact, the family doesn't runs by instruction. The family actually runs by love. So if we can love the victim of the disaster, why not we put more effort in loving our family member? And since then, we have been, the result of the Dharma practice is the joyfulness. And the family, we gather 1 or twice a year for a holiday. My children will come back together. So this is how I feel that it is important, to keep the families together. The world is beautiful if we gather positive element, doing good deeds and practicing Dharma teaching. The good and the evil, who will be the winner? This photo was taken in the airport in Bangkok. Yeah, the winners of the tug of war. It depends on where you stand up. Yeah, for this, I end my sharing. Okay, and then back to you, Brother Chin.
And then, Brother James, for the very insightful sharing. As you shared on this work that you do, the first time that you went to a disaster relief site, what was the first impact that you felt, and what crossed your mind?
Wow. The first impression, it is a hell. It's a hell. We are living under the heaven, but then it is a hell. It's a suffering. We have been living in affluent society. We are very fortunate, but then in many parts of the world, there's a lot of people are still suffering and calling for help. Yeah.
Were you at that moment? Were you overcome with fear?
Okay. The will, the mind of trying to help people actually overcome the fear. When I was putting so much thinking, how do I help them? Instead of I spend the time, oh, what's happening, what's going on? I'm scared. I'm reluctant. The place so dirty, and it's not the place for me. Instead of putting the energy on the negative, I put the thing on the positive side. What should we do? How can we get it done? And so on. Yeah.
Okay, that's wonderful. So that I guess that state of confusion was being overcome with just one aspiration, is to help and serve.
Yes.
Okay,
right.
That's wonderful. I always have this aspiration to get involved in disaster relief, but the condition was such that I haven't had yet. Although my first experience actually when I was 15 or 16-year-old in school, when I was doing volunteering work. Now, your point on Bodh Gaya and your talk about the beggar children, and you mentioned about the caste system. Because of that, they were left. I wanted they were ignored by the society. It's interesting that, yeah, I suppose that is somewhat subtly being practiced, still being practiced at the moment. But I'm just wondering whether, apart from the caste system, whether the minds of the children are actually being conditioned from a very young age.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
You're right. You're right.
mhm,
In fact, they have been conditioned in such a way that they are born to be slave.
mm,
Yeah, they have been conditioned on that. But then
yeah,
what we do there is, if we don't help them, they have totally no hope.
yeah.
And hope is the only string that will click them and pull them to a successful life. Yeah. And to do that, I think the Dharma of the Buddha is teaching is very important. And to bring them out from superstition or accepting the fate, and we tell them that you have to start learning. There's a string of hope for them. Without that, I think they have totally no hope.
Brother James,
Yeah.
I think the first time I went to Bodh Gaya, was on a pilgrimage trip. That's probably about maybe 15 years ago. And I had a very interesting conversation with my guide, and it was right in midst of Bodh Gaya. And at that time, the entrance to the Mahabodhi temple wasn't as restrictive as it is now. It's fairly open at that time. You can practically just walk in after just taking off your shoes. And obviously there were a lot of beggar children, and the guy was explaining to me, and he said that, and he worked out a calculation for me, and he said that, I said, do you know that it pays them to beg? It pays them to work in a factory. So I was sitting down there with him, and I was observing people who would give them money. So you said that, I mean, it was an awakening moment. He said that. So when you actually donate to them, he asked me, do you know what you are doing? And that's he said that, and you just walk, you just observe how many people actually give them money. So when you do that, they are actually bringing a very lucrative business. Now, he further explained to me that, that some of the little children or infants that they have were borrowed from another family. So it became like an unwholesome practice, if you like.
Yeah.
So therefore, the children were actually grew up in that condition, thinking that that is a job.
Yes, you're precisely correct, Brother Chin. I just used two stories to answer your question.
Yeah.
And, the first case that Su Ching did is to help a boy named Sandeep somewhere in Raju under the Ling Xiu San. And when we went there, we told the parents that we will send your son to hospital. He was having a stomach bloating, I think something wrong with the stomach. But then the parents refused. They refused because if we cure his son, they cannot earn a living, because his son projected a very sympathy look with a big bloated stomach, and that make him a very lucrative income as a beggar. So the parents stopped, and we told the parents that, do you love your son? You love him or not? can you, do you still want to continue to let him suffering continue like that in the rest of the life? And the parent give a big deep thinker and say, yeah, okay, how much money he can get, we pay him. Don't be a beggar. We pay you first to go to hospital and cure, and we pay you to go to school. Is that okay? So after that, we have a deal. And today, the son is cured, and he said that I want inspired to be a doctor to save
Wow.
more people. Well, I think this is really a path of transforming the people. The second story that we was not successful is one of the adults on the way to the Chia Ku, somewhere near the bamboo garden. We, this guy have a infection, elephantitis or something like that, and we asked him, can we help you by sending you to a hospital to seek treatment? He straight away say no. He straight away say no. And then we asked him why. He said, yeah, I can earn a very good living. Yeah. If you cure my leg and I lost all my income, my family members were all suffering. And it took us almost 2 hours of convince him, and he still say no. So in these two story, the convincing power actually lies on whether there is a love, the bonding between the act, our act of kindness, and we might love him, but then his love is somewhere else for the adult. He's thinking more on the money. Whereas on the first family, the is a love between parent and the son, and our love to the kid. All the three party all have the love. Whereas the second case, is only between our love and this guy. But then we doesn't know about the family, so it was not a successful one. But then anyway, we find that it is surprisingly that the people are born and they accepted the faith in that way. I think to transform them, I think it's not easy. It is a journey. It's a dark and a long journey. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fascinating stories, Brother James.
Mm.
Obviously, some will take faster, some will take longer to be transformed. And as one, when we walk the path, the spiritual journey is one of immeasurable distance, and lifetime after lifetime, we have to continue to do the work and transform. We do the best we can, I guess, Brother James.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. Yeah,
And
we have to
I
go
think,
on. We have to have more people on our side, standing with us, in a tug of war. Yeah, that's
yeah,
what I was saying. And we need to have more volunteers to join us in doing the
absolutely,
good. Yeah.
absolutely.
Mm.
And are you planning to go back to Bodh soon?
Yeah, yeah. Planning out for the next year's journey.
Uh,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, you will
Okay.
continue. All right. Thank you, Brother Chin.
Kanan so much.
Yeah.
Kanan so much, Brother James, and the sister Hwee, who was here to share with us this morning. I do apologize for the non-availability of Brother Matthew for today, and nevertheless, we have very touching and insightful sharing by our two sharers this morning. So the sort of time we have for today, and we wish you a happy weekend, and obviously there's a lot of work for us to do for this weekend, and a good week ahead, and I hope to see you next Saturday. Okay, so as we end our session, so we offer the three vows to the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. First vow. second bow, third bow. We also offer one bow to our old masters. Bow. All right, so Ghanaian brothers and sisters, and that's all the time we have, and I wish you a happy weekend and a good week ahead.
Brother Ching, sorry, may I request for a group photo, please?
Oh, group photo. Yeah, quite a few of them have left. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
If you can turn on your video and
Hold on, I'll take the group photo.
all right. Okay. Some of you already in action. Sister Su Ching already in it, going to.
Hey, Ghana,
Just
brother,
give me
brother,
so much.
wow, really wonderful. Brother James have to give you a month, quarterly sharing already. Brother James has so many stories to share, and of course our Singapore.
Yeah. Okay, sister.
Okay,
Oh,
wonderful sharing for today. Really benefited so much. And
be very
Brother
touching.
Chin for wonderful hosting.
Yeah, join
Okay,
us
got it.
to the this Bot Gaya and Lindini lah. You know, see our there. Tiffany, you have long been there.
Same lah, teamwork.
Teamwork. Okay.
And the teamwork. Yeah. And now 祝福大家 have a wonderful weekend. And
All
Brother
right.
Chin.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.